This is Nick Harrington for EMR Update. I'm standing in for Robert Gleeman this Saturday. We're in discussion with Barbara Duck, who's the Medical Quack. She provides a lot of content onto our website. Now, Barbara, for those who don't know, is a bit of a technical geek. She's a geek, so you don't have to be. She provides a lot of hard-hat technical discussion through the Medical Quack blog, but also through onto our site. Barbara, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Nick.
We agreed to have some discussion about Windows Server 2008, and the discussion we had was my office is a bit similar to an EMR doctor's premises in that we're 4 or 5 guys. We've got an Exchange server running on Exchange 2000 with Windows Server 2000. We want to know, why should we bother upgrading? Are there some big things coming from Microsoft?
Basically, it's been out in beta for a little while here. They're just now coming out with the pricing. Windows Server 2008 is going to be the last 32-bit server offered by Microsoft. Everything else from here on out is going to be 64-bit. But you can get 2008 in 32-bit and 64-bit configurations. The big reason to graduate up to 64-bit technology, it's something that Microsoft and both Intel have been pushing. We've all been to the stores and seen the 64-bit processors out there, the 64-bit machines. But basically, what we need to grow is a lot of bandwidth, to kind of put it shortly. Right now, as you and I are doing, there's more and more video on the web than what's ever been available before, and this is the trend. Everybody's moving toward video. So in order to accommodate video, we need more bandwidth, we need more power to handle all this.
Am I safe buying a 32-bit platform? Should I be immediately thinking, I've got to go 64-bit? You're saying Server 2008 will support 32-bit, but is there a suggestion that 64 is the way to go?
Well, there's a couple different options on that. If you wanted to stay with the 32-bit system, you could. You can also go out and buy 64-bit hardware and run a 32-bit Server 2008 on as well. At least you have the hardware that's set up and ready to go.
In terms of the Server 2008 64-bit platform, do all of its complementary bits of software, such as Exchange Server, do they also come in the same flavor of 64-bit? So I've got to go, in some respects, for a complete 64-bit architecture, including software.
Yes, you do. You would have to install the 64-bit Server 2008. But there's a lot of benefits to moving up to a 64-bit server. Obviously, you're going to have 32-bit clients, PCs, connecting to a 64-bit server, which is, not an issue. It's done on the web every day. When you look at something like Netflix as an example. Netflix is using Server 2008, and you're able to click and stream a movie. So in other words, you get your credit card out, pay your dues, and click and stream and watch your movie. Those are some of the real benefits of running 2008 on a 64-bit server.
So for example, for a website such as EMR Update, if it was pushing more video content like Netflix, it would want to be based on that 2008 64-bit platform.
Oh, sure, obviously, because Server 2008, the configuration itself, has a much smaller footprint than any other prior servers that have been offered by Microsoft. Actually, a couple members on the forum here, I've fielded a few questions. If you just installed just the very basic 32-bit Server 2008, it can load in less than 30 minutes. So when's the last time you've loaded a server that quickly?
No, it's usually a good 3-4 hours for us anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so some of the other messages, the big messages Microsoft seem to be pushing, they're clearly getting back onto security. Security is a big issue and probably a separate subject for one of our discussions. But what specifically has gone into 2008 to make me feel more comfortable about perimeter security for my business and security within the office? Okay,
they've added a lot more options on Server 2008. First of all, the firewall, it's huge. It's just the changes they've made. Very highly configurable. Actually, even with the firewall, you can throttle down applications that you may not want being used in the office that are off the web. or just internally. So as an example, if you were a physician running an electronic medical record system, you can throttle the system to make sure you're going to have the maximum amount of resources available for the electronic medical record software, and throttle down something like, perhaps maybe a messenger service or something like that is not really relative to, the business you're conducting at the time.
So really at that perimeter of the business, I can dictate what are the key important applications, such as access to an ASP EMR application, access to drug databases, those sort of things, and drop the access performance for CNN or for YouTube, that sort of concept.
And one of the big changes as far as bandwidth and speed is you no longer, on a 64-bit machine, have to just rely on HTTP protocol. So you can run services over TCP/IP over the protocols. So that's a big change in everything right there. It's called Windows Activation Services. So that's something brand new that's in there, and basically you're going to see a tremendous increase in your LAN and your WAN bandwidth locally.
Okay. The other message we're all concerned about is stability. Now, a lot of us are still based on, as a client desktop, Windows XP Service Pack 2, pretty stable, no problems with that. We've heard a lot of issues about, for instance, Vista, Microsoft Vista Professional Business, and there's a lot of posters who've gone on there and come back. I suppose we're looking for some assurance that Windows Server 2008 is as stable as our Server 2003 or Server 2000 product. What's their message with stability?
Well, basically, you can have both a Vista client computer or an XP client computer. They can both, connect to a Server 2008. Obviously, to maximize the client part of the operation, with Vista, you're going to see a lot more full features and so on and so forth. Again, there's not an issue there.
Okay, that's cool. In terms of a small office such as ours, we haven't got a lot of management to do in terms of users and groups, that type of security. But is, for a larger hospital group or a larger group of physicians and medical practitioners and receptionists, is there a lot of new tools for helping manageability of that network, of the security groups and that sort of stuff?
Oh, yes. You can have a read-only Active Directory. That's one of the new security features on there. The management through IIS 7.0 is more or less a single-point application. In other words, your internal folks are not going to have to sit there and write the code and scripting to work with IIS 7, because a lot of that's now more available out of the box, if you will. I hope that made sense.
Okay, that's good. Okay. So those sort of messages we've gone through, there's security, there's stability, there's some manageability. Certainly websites are faster.
The virtualization capabilities of Server 2008 are something else not to be overlooked, because basically you've got the virtualization is baked right into the operating system. So again, you're just going to have so much more capability, and I'll use a website again as let's say a host that would host several websites that maybe used to be able to get maybe 200-300 sites on a box.
Yes.
Maybe able to crank that up to maybe 1,000, 2,000 now. So that's going to be huge.
Okay, so for instance, EM Update is currently based on a single server. Could be anywhere in the States, doesn't matter where, but I could perhaps move that into a virtual server and have an echo of that server located on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And let's say you were, in your office and you've got Server 2008 running with the virtuals, and let's say there were some applications you wanted to run under virtual Linux server. You could do that. There's all kinds of possibilities and everything with this. And one of the big things about Server 2008 is being that the virtuals are baked in, you're kind of getting a 2-for-1, if you will, if that makes sense.
That's good. So there's less need for licensing software, I guess.
Sure.
Okay, that's neat. Okay, Barbara, that's a great introduction to Windows Server 2008. So when we do migrate EM Update onto that sort of platform, I do hope we can call on your expertise.
Well, certainly. I'll be able to offer any help that I can.
Okay, that's superb. Barbara, thank you for your contribution on the Medical Quack. We love your content, and thanks for being a Microsoft partner who's able to talk to us today.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Barbara.